start this recording. But again, dude, thank you for, taking time out your day to do this.
No, no problem, bro. No problem. I
So,
appreciate your craft.
I appreciate yours, man. And that's where I want to start. How'd you get into all this? I mean, besides being just a basketball fan, like, how'd you get into being a content creator for, NBA?
Um, well, it started off just being a fan. Everything that's happened for me started with just being a pure basketball fan since I can remember 4 years old, just gravitating to basketball. And for a long time in my life, I just gave the game everything as far as playing it, studying it, being obsessed with it. And I did it with a genuine passion. I didn't think anything would come of it. I definitely wanted to go to the NBA when I was a kid. But I didn't know all those years of my life as a youth or as a kid, studying and writing down names and just keeping up with everything. It would be because I had a purpose. Everything comes full circle, and never in a million years did I think I would have anything to do with basketball from a professional standpoint if I wasn't in the NBA. I thought I was either going to make the NBA or I was going to be doing something else in life. And little did I know, this whole content world of being able to create content, have a podcast, and do everything that I've been doing for free my whole life, I could make a career out of it. So it just came from being a fan, always talking about the game on Twitter, online. You start to build up, a small little platform. And then also my cousin, King of the Fourth Quarter. He's a big YouTuber, and I would see him do his thing, and I go back and forth with him on basketball opinions. And a couple times we did it in our group chat. A couple other guys, chimed in, and I threw out the possibility of making a podcast. This is when podcasting was first created. It's like 2015, and after a couple conversations, couple times doing the whole, we should do a podcast, and everybody like, yeah, we should, and nobody does anything. So then a few weeks go by or another month go by, and we have another basketball conversation. It's like, I'm saying we should do this podcast thing, and everybody's like, yeah, let's do it, but nobody does anything to actually make it happen. And then I think we probably had that happen like one more time, and we were like, let's actually do it. And then my cousin Kenny, he went out and got all the equipment, and we just started. And again, just like being a fan, we did it with just pure passion, and there was no thinking about money. It was nothing about what this could become. It was just something we wanted to do, and we did it. And little did we know we were building something that was going to turn into what it has now. So that's it, man. Just being a fan, having a passion, and chasing it, and genuinely chasing it. I think a lot of people get into this field and they get into this lane, and all they think about is becoming the biggest YouTube person, the biggest podcaster. How can I get on ESPN? And that's what made me gravitate to you. I was on YouTube, and I was searching up something around, it's probably like a year or two ago, with NBA trades or something like that, maybe the off season. And I seen you talking about some move being made, and then I clicked on your channel after watching the video, and I saw you had like uploaded maybe 4 videos in that day covering every move, and your views wasn't out of this world or anything like that. So I'm like, man, this dude is just turning on his camera, he's talking about what he thinks, he's giving insight, and he's putting in the work because he just has a passion for basketball. A lot of people do that, and it's like, oh man, I didn't get this amount of views, so I quit. I'm not doing it anymore. And when I kept seeing you do it, and I was listening and I enjoyed it, I'm like, I'm a fan because that's what it's all about to me.
Nah, I mean, I completely agree. For me, whenever I get always asked like why I like the NBA, especially going like Kansas, everyone here. I mean, for me, one of my best memories is, my parents during the 2008 recession lost all their money. My mom had to go take a job in Maryland. We were living in Florida at the time, and she left my dad taking care of me and my other 2 siblings. And it was during the playoff run when the Orlando Magic with Dwight Howard, Jameer Nelson, Mikal Pietrus, Marcin Gortat, that whole bunch went on that finals run. Courtney Lee with the face mask and everything. And I just remember my dad brought the TV into his bedroom, which he never had a TV in his bedroom. And like that whole time when my mom was gone, every night we were watching a playoff game. My dad hadn't really watched basketball in like 10, 15 years. So I remember him like learning who Kobe and LeBron was and all the other guys at the time. So just whole life, I always said like, any bad moment I had in life, what was there at night for me? The NBA. What was the first thing I was doing when I hopped on the bus when I got out of class? I was going on NBA.com, ESPN, reading the latest news, the NBA. In high school, what was I doing? When I was playing video games at 10 p.m. at night, I had, StreamEast.io or whatever it was called at the time, the crack streams, watching all the NBA games while I was playing, 2K at the same time. And, COVID happened and I hadn't been really posting. I always say, I was like, once I started seeing growth was when I just stopped caring. I was just, like you said, turning on the camera and again, using, being a journalism student, just following reputable sources. So, keeping up with all the beat writers, keeping up with all the insiders. So, typically only making content off of what I can say a source. That's why most of my videos within 30 seconds are like, this is coming from, for say Sam Cassini or, Jake Fisher, Bleacher Report, etc. Just because I just find, just turn on. It's, I always say, the NBA is narrative driven, and it's just one of the most fun things just to keep a pulse on that narrative. So that's why I enjoy watching you. You same way, like your videos when you do your weekly like catch ups, those are just so much fun because it's a compilation of information, but you have this cadence that it draws a person in, and I really like that.
I appreciate that, but yeah, it came from the same understanding that you just said you fell into with yourself, of just saying like, man, when you stop caring about external things like views and the reach and the audience, and you just do literally what your heart desires you to do and fulfill, yourself, that you'll see the growth. And I think that happened for me for a long time. I struggled with being confident in the YouTube thing, not because of what I was saying, but I was just so intimidated by the fact that, man, when I first started, I didn't have the stuff that I have now. My camera quality wasn't as good. I didn't necessarily have a microphone. I didn't have a backdrop. So I was like, how am I going to edit it? I don't have transitions, but then after a while, I'm just like, man, I'm gonna do this. And it came from a very small portion of the fans telling me like, man, we just want to hear you talk. We could care less about how you edit. We could care less about the video quality. We like what your opinions are so much that we just want to hear you talk. And when I started getting that from them, that gave me confidence to just literally do that, turn my camera on and talk. And then after a while, you become a student in what you're doing as well. Just the same way you would be a student in basketball, you become a student of your content and your profession. So then you start to upgrade your camera. You go and get a mic, you build a background, you do those little things because, by nature, you want to grow and be the best version of yourself. But yeah, it's literally doing what you can do to fulfill you and putting it out there and making the notes of how you can improve then, but it's just from a basis of doing what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with improving. There's nothing wrong with feedback, but at the core, it has to just be what you want to do. And if it's just talking basketball is the main thing, then you do that and you try to figure out ways to improve. And that's how I did it. I stopped caring about the aesthetic or the things that were out of my control that I had no interest in. And I just tried to, figure out, how am I talking? Am I saying but too much? Am I saying and too much? Am I saying too much? Let me clear that up and fix my speaking patterns and how I'm presenting things, and just doing it more so that way instead of caring about too much of the YouTube stuff, because I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a basketball mind or a basketball person who's just giving her 2 cents. And success came the same way you said.
No, that's a great way to put it. I for me, the way I saw it was, I had a dad who always told me the worst thing was to say, but like, so he always told me, he was like, people who say that, you don't know what you're talking about. That's what the appearance it gives off. When someone's listening to you and you keep saying those words, people aren't going to think you know what you're talking about because you keep stumbling. If you need to think about what you say, just pause and it'll make it even more important sounding because you give things pauses. Because when you take that pause, you can gather your thoughts real quickly and then go back out. So I agree. Like, and I had a professor once tell you, is like, you can have bad visuals and all that, but the one thing people won't forgive you is your audio, either the way you're speaking, how it sounds, because people want to hear what you're saying. You don't always have to have the best visuals. And I agree with that. And for me, that at the end of the day, I would love to, evolve into something that I could take, being someone in the NBA and like as someone who's a journalist, right now doing typical stuff, I mean, I want to write books. I want to either nonfictions where I travel with like a G League team or a Miami Heat team, and I write like the 2023 to 24 season. And, I spend the whole 82 games in the playoffs, just interview people and just being there and put a whole book there, or write, teenage 14-year-old not fictional novels about a kid overcoming, blowing out his knee and being forgotten about and like falling out the rankings and having to show back up to his like first AAU tournament in 2 years where everyone's forgetting about him. And, I've written like 2 screenplays, not sports related yet, but I want to write like some sports like stories and stuff like that. And I, again, like you said, just a basketball mind, and that's like why this is so much fun, because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to do this because I don't want to be YouTube famous or any of that. I just want people to talk basketball with. I just want to talk basketball. I just want to talk NBA specifically.
Yeah. We need them books, man. You got to make that happen. The knee blowing out, bouncing back, that sounds like a really, really good book.
I wrote a short story, actually. It's called The Forgotten One. I wrote it because I'm an English minor, creative writing. And I wrote it's like a 5-page or 6-page short story I wrote about him and the kid. It's the day of the first tournament. It's about him and his dad talking and then getting in the car and driving over and back. And I like writing a lot of my stories in like Baltimore and like Maryland.
Okay.
And so like, and like, or like places I used to live. So like right now, because I lived in Minnesota, I was born in Minnesota, lived in Florida, and lived a lot of 10 years in Maryland, now Kansas the last 4 years for college. So I like writing places I used to be, so love stories, but how are you a Knicks fan? If you're from Chicago?
Yeah. People ask me this all the time. It goes back to the first thing I said in the conversation, just being obsessed with basketball and wanting to go to the NBA. So I was so obsessed with the NBA and so obsessed with basketball, I'll say, where I mapped out my entire basketball career. So I was going to be, I was tall as a kid. I'm tall now. I'm 6'4". At the time, because I was so tall, I was like, okay, I'm seeing how I'm growing. I'm going to be around 6'5" or 6'6", which is the same height as Kobe and Michael Jordan. So by default, I'm going to be a shooting guard. Michael Jordan played for the Bulls. He had that, which is my city, Chicago. I don't want to go to the Bulls because I don't want to play in Michael Jordan's shadow. LA is the next place, but that's Kobe's. I could go to the Clippers, but the Clippers at this time, when I'm planning this and I'm thinking all of it, the Clippers are
butt cheeks.
Yeah, they gross. This is disgusting, Clippers. So now I'm like, damn, what's next? The Knicks. The Knicks is the team I can go to. I love Madison Square Garden. This is before I had ever even been there. I was just a kid, only seeing it on TV. But I love it's something about that aura with the Knicks. And they at that time they'd never had that guy. I know they had Patrick Ewing, but that was a little bit before me. But while I'm watching, the Knicks are also ass, and they don't really have anybody. And
except Nate Robinson.
Right. This is like Nate Robinson, or maybe Jamal Crawford came a little bit after this and had a 50-point game and whatnot. But yeah, I'm like, I want to go to the Knicks. And by default of me wanting to, become this NBA player drafted by the Knicks and giving them a championship and being the face of New York and everything like that, I started to follow the team and I became a fan. And I've always had that love for the Knicks because I thought I was going to get drafted by them. So in a short story, I thought I was going to get drafted and play for the Knicks and be their all-time leading scorer and be the face, Jordan, Bulls, Kobe, Lakers, and I thought it was going to be Pierre, Knicks, and that's where the fandom came from. So nothing crazy, but just me having a dream, thinking I was going to play for the Knicks.
That's great. I mean, my whole life when I first started playing basketball, my dad was too busy with work, so he sent me to the library, and I got all these little biographies that were like 30, 40 pages long on like Hakeem Olajuwon, Dennis Rodman, David Robinson, and all these bigs. So I was like, my whole life, I'm like 6'1", on a good day, maybe 6'2", and my whole life I wanted to be like a 6'8" center. Like my whole life I wanted to be a 6'8", like mean center my whole life. Like when I play pickup now, like I'm always called King Hustle and like people always argue like about guarding me because I don't stop running either, because like I picked up the Duncan Robinson thing where I'm just running on offense. I keep running because I'm like, I'm gonna tire you out. And then on defense, like my favorite thing's defense, and that's because like as I got older, I wanted to be like Ricky Rubio, Matthew Dellavedova, and like Pat Bev. You know, like I just wanted to be annoying as hell. That's how I always am. So
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, just a hustle, king hustle. But with you, what's your best and worst NBA moment as a fan?
Best and worst. Best moment as a fan. Oh man. I don't have too many because I'm a Knicks fan, obviously. Probably something Kobe related. I remember watching Kobe. I never got to see him play in person, but I remember seeing his last game against Utah full through, or seeing him win one of those championships. I'm trying to think best memory as a fan, because a lot of my memories of recent, I'm a fan always, but I got to correlate them to work. So, meeting certain people, I got to be a professional or whatnot. But as a fan, man, that's a very good question. Favorite memory as a fan? It would have to probably be something Kobe related, man. Watching Kobe, I don't know, probably win that first championship without Shaq, I'll say. My worst memory as a fan, Derrick Rose. So I'm from Chicago. Derrick Rose is a top recruit in America. This dude is about to play at the United Center. I forgot what was good, maybe the state championship or whatever. My dad asked me and my brother, do you guys want to go to your cousin's pool party, or you want to go to see the Derrick Rose at the United Center in the state blah 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 game? And we were like, let's go swim. We want to go swimming, just being kids. And now when you talk about Derrick Rose and they show those high school clips, they show the clips from that game. This is when he's windmilling on a dude's head, and like we always look back like, damn, we passed up on going to see that for swimming. And as a fan, that always makes me like, we should have went and saw that. So that would probably be the worst. The best, I would say the best is probably something with Kobe though. Probably. I love Kobe. I'm a big Kobe guy.
Nah, I feel you. I love Kobe. I'm like not a Lakers fan, but that's the way I am for like LeBron. Like arguably my if I had to say mine, it would be like I was in Argentina when LeBron won Game 7 of the Cavs final, and like my whole fam went out to dinner, and they're like, "You gonna come dinner?" I was like, "Hell no." And they're like, I was like, "Nah, Game 7." I was like, "Hell no." So they left me in an apartment in Buenos Aires by myself, and I'm watching Spanish ESPN, like full on in Game 7. And I remember just screaming when Andre Iguodala got blocked. And I'm like, not even a Cavs fan. I just thought that was the greatest moment. But I mean, Ricky Rubio coming over would be the close second for me. Best moment. Like Ricky Rubio is like one of my favorite players of all time, and we'd been waiting like people don't even remember, like Ricky Rubio hype was bigger than Luka Doncic, like before Doncic came over. Like Rubio, I think he was like 15 when he started playing professionally, and we were all just like, Rubio, like people don't realize Curry wasn't even supposed to be as good as Rubio. Like Rubio, everyone was like, all he needs is 3-point shot. Like
I remember playing 2K, and we would have to download Ricky Rubio because he wasn't in the game, but we were waiting. And like me and my brother would argue over who's going to be able to use Ricky Rubio because the hype was crazy. Like we were waiting. When is this guy coming? And we would literally have to go into like the 2K files to download like Ricky Rubio and put him on the Timberwolves and just go crazy. But I remember Ricky Rubio was on the Slam magazine cover, him and Brandon Jennings. Yeah, Ricky Rubio was the man. Man.
People like he was literally like Jason Williams mixed with like freaking I don't even know who else, like
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash. Yeah, literally. That's a great comparison. Everyone was like, once he gets that jump shot, they're like best perimeter defender, best passer. Like he was like throwing like between the legs through two guys, and like a guy was dunking. You were just like in transition. You were just like. And they were playing like Hispanic, like, Spanish music with like Rubio highlights and commercials and stuff.
You making me miss the old days, man.
Yeah.
Before Twitter, before podcasts and YouTube was as big. Yeah. You have to like, the internet was a thing, but it wasn't as accessible. So it wasn't phones, but you had like me and my brother would literally go to the computer and just sit there and both watch Ricky Rubio highlights over and over and just be amazed by the passes he would make. the long hair. Yeah, before the beard. This is before
before the beard. Yeah, it was baby face Ricky
Yeah.
Rubio. Where like he's still like Ricky Rubio for the last like 10 years feels like he's looked like a grown ass man since he's had the beard. But Ricky Rubio's first few years was baby face Rubio. But you know who's another guy like that? People forget, and he's actually having a solid season since being traded to the Thunder. Dario Saric, another guy.
Yeah.
People before Luka, people were like Dario Saric, he's gonna be that guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's still, one of the best basketball players in the world, but he just didn't become the all-star that like we thought. And he was actually like a really good rookie. He was just another guy that got drafted. I think like 3 years we had to wait for him. And
I thought he was gonna I thought he was the underrated piece to the
I forgot he was
Sixers.
I forgot he was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to help alleviate the spacing issue between Embiid and Ben.
Ben, yep.
Yep, and Ben. And they would have Dario Saric, and then it was going to be Markelle Fultz. And I forgot about that.
That's a tough what if team, man. Markelle from Washington. If Ben stays,
doesn't happen.
Man, that's a tough what if team.
And it's weird with Dario. I know he blew out his knee, but he was a guy averaging like 14.
Yeah, he was really good. He was really good for the Philadelphia 76ers. That injury really did something to him.
It seems like it took him out for a while.
But yeah, he was really good. And he hasn't been. He was, he had his moments with the Suns when he was playing the backup five for Aiden during that playoff stretch. But my favorite version of Dario was definitely early Sixers mid-range jumper, the 3-point shot, underrated playmaker. I like Dario a lot.
Yeah, people don't realize this guy second season right here. I'm looking at it. It was averaging 14.6, 45 from the field, 39 from 3, 7 rebounds, about 3 assists, almost a steal a night. He was like an all-round connector. He was the guy that made the hockey assists.
What did he get traded for?
Jimmy Butler. You remember?
Gosh.
Yeah, he was thrown in on.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's what went wrong for him. The time in Minnesota was terrible for Dario. They did not know what to do with him. I remember he was coming off the bench for a long time. I forgot who he was playing behind, but it didn't. I remember being on our podcast, why is Dario Saric playing behind this guy or whoever it was at the time? Maybe Thaddeus Young or something. I can't remember. But yeah, I think that's what went wrong for him. Going to that Minnesota Timberwolves team, and then he kind of got forgotten about, went to the Suns. Oh man, I forgot. Yes, the Jimmy Butler trade. Yes.
I think that just shows people don't realize when basketball players' confidence is such a big thing. I think another guy who got kind of shafted Saric was Brandon Knight. People don't remember how good Brandon. Dude, that guy, he was at a 17, 20 point per game score, 3 seasons at least, I think. And then,
you know about him because you said you lived in Florida, right?
Yeah, I lived in Florida, and then
did you live in Florida when he was one of the top high school guys?
That was one of my last years, and then I moved to Maryland the year John Wall, a few months before John Wall was drafted.
Okay.
That's why I'm a Wizards big John Wall fan, because I remember for the day after the lottery, this kid Adrian Charchalis goes, "Sir, you watch the NBA draft lottery?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he started going, "John Wall, John Wall," and I remember just you could go anywhere in Baltimore, hey, there you go. This if you saw someone with a Wizards jersey, they would go just come back to you and.
The good days, man.
Yeah, it was great. That was another guy I used to fight with, or 2K12, 2K13, John Wall. That guy had he was De'Aaron Fox. People think De'Aaron Fox was fast. Yeah, John Wall, so the Flash up and down the court.
One of my favorite teams, the Wizards. Yeah.
My first game ever. This thing right here is from the first game I ever went. It was a Magic game that we got the $5 tickets they hand out to elementary schools.
Oh, okay.
Guess they played the Gilbert Arenas-led Wizards. Yeah, and I always think about that. I always think that I got to see. I didn't even know who Agent Zero was, but then retrospect, I realized that I'm like, damn, I really got to see Agent Zero.
So this is Gilbert. Is Antoine Jameson on the Wizards?
I think this is Larry Hughes.
Larry Hughes. Okay.
So yeah, Larry Hughes Wizards. So
I like that team.
That was a good team. That was a fun time.
Team had some battles with the Bulls.
They did have some battles with the Bulls. Damn. And that was the weird Bulls too.
Yeah.
Before the Derrick Rose, and then
that's exactly Tyson Chandler, Nocioni.
Yeah, and Jay Williams mess up where like they were supposed to have Jay Williams and then they were just kind of like, and there was Elton Brand too. I forgot in there too.
Elton Brand played for the Bulls. Ron Artest played for the Bulls.
Kyle Korver.
Kyle Korver. Jamal Crawford.
That's such a weird, like, that was a revolving door of players. Like, you just look at guys from the 2000s, you're like, oh, they had a stint with the Bulls.
And they left the Bulls and they went to other places and they had career years.
Literally. Every time. All right, so I want to ask you right here, obviously, this is something, I don't know why it's been such a, at least on Twitter, it's became such a heated topic. And it's the MVP race. And I don't know, are you able to vote are you considered media?
I don't vote, no.
No, okay.
Not yet.
That's it. So if right here, I'll pull this up right here. It says right now they have Jokic winning MVP according to the Basketball Reference, which I personally don't think is like the best way to go off of it either. But it's just a good tool to like use as a reference. And yeah, they have right now Jokic. Let me go zoom out one. All right. How much do you think Embiid missing the matchup with Jokic hurts his chances of actually winning this?
That's a very good question. I was disappointed. The matchups previous though, Joel Embiid did his thing and handled his business. I'll try not to take too much into it because the MVP conversation or the MVP award is supposed to be for the entire year. I definitely think a lot of people were disappointed. But I think a lot of people also want to see a new award, if I'm being honest, a new award winner. And I think ultimately Joel Embiid is going to get it. I'm not sleeping on a dude in Milwaukee. I think Giannis quietly is doing his thing. And if I did have a vote, I would probably lean to Giannis. I kind of want Joel to finally get it though, but a part of me, I don't know. I just feel like the conversation has kind of died out. Like not in the sense that people aren't talking about it, but for me, like my interest in it is not what it once was because it got weird. You know what I mean?
It got like so weird.
Yeah, it got too weird. And I'm a guy who I'm the opposite. I appreciate players. I don't care how many times you win it. If Jokic deserves to win it 3 straight times, then Jokic will get my vote to win it. And I think all of these guys are special talents. And for Joel Embiid to whine and cry about it for so long and then not, take that moment to really crush it and say I'm the MVP was a little weird. But yeah, when conversations get a little too weird for me, I kind of like lose interest in it. But
well, not to cut you off right here. So you brought up the thing, like, I agree. Joel Embiid had like the opportunity to like kind of pull Marcus Smart because I saw somewhere last year, like when Smart won the award, I remember there was a trending tweet where like it was like Marcus Smart won the first was the first defensive player of the year to win the award from like just annoying everyone because the whole season he was just like, I ain't never heard of a guard not named Gary Payton win defensive player of the year. Literally every time they had him, like, I know a guard not named Gary Payton. Wait, all year he was just saying it. He was like, I don't know. You're just like, okay, we get it. And that's literally, it felt like everyone's like, yes, Marcus Smart, we're gonna give you this defensive player of the year because you are defensive player of the year, but like, just stop. And like, it felt like Joel had that moment to really just be like, after all that complaint, he never like doubled down on it where he was just like, yeah, I'm like MVP.
Mm-hmm. And he had me too. I was like, man, I think maybe a week or so ago, I was like, yeah, give it to Joel. But that was weird. And I hope actually Jokic wins 3 in a row. I just think that for the people that vote, I don't think they'll give it to him because of the way I've been seeing the conversations go with the stat pad and things like that, which is just ludicrous to me. But I also look at it more and more, and Giannis is just
my God,
absence of Chris Middleton for most of the season and everything that they've been doing and how they kind of took over the East when the Celtics for a long time looked like they had it. And it just feels like his name hasn't even really been mentioned. And I feel like when he turns it on, he shows that he's the best. And again, to not have Middleton is another thing that I don't think it brought up enough. Philadelphia had their moments where they was missing people and Joel Embiid was keeping it afloat as well, but the Bucks are the best team and they haven't had their second best player
All
for
season.
most of the season. And we gave Jokic the MVP last year because he didn't have MPJ or Jamal. And for the Bucks to not only still be a top tier team, but be the best team without Chris Middleton, I think that's more than enough for Giannis to take it home.
No, I completely agree. And it's not even just Curtis Middleton. The whole Bobby Portis has been out. Drew Holiday's been out. You know, he lost Pat Connaughton for some time. It's really just been the Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo show on every given night. But with that being said, I think the whole thing, I don't know why, and I think this is coming from the casual, it's also like a whole race thing. They're like, if you just believe in Jokic, you're like, he's only getting the support because he's white. And I'm just like, and then like, and the whole thing is like, the whole notion, like, not like that's not even, it's just the stupidest like argument like ever. But
yeah, I'm here as a black man to say that I would vote for Jokic.
Yeah, like, and the weird thing is like, as someone who's like, even though I was born in America and I know of like, even though like I'm foreign and like my parents are from like Argentina and like Yugoslavia and Italy, I grew up with like, you know, somewhat privileged, you know, as I'm, you know, like, even though I'm like not white, but area I grew up and stuff like that, I was fortunate. And I know from personal experience, that's not how Nick Jokic thinks. That's not how Luka Doncic thinks. Like, especially European, like that whole concept of race and stuff like that, that's not even like crossing their minds. And the same thing with the sports writers. You know?
Luka would be my argument, though. I think like the basketball world has been ready to give it to Luka for the past 3 or 4 years. I just think that the Mavericks haven't won the games or put him in the position. But like, I think that narrative clears up as soon as the Mavericks are winning enough for Luka to get it. As soon as the Mavericks are good enough to win, for Luka to win the MVP, he's going to get it. Like,
oh, he finished third. What, his second season?
Exactly. So it's like the whole race thing. The people are ready to give it to Luka.
Look at Sabonis.
Yeah, Sabonis is up there. I actually love that because I'm a big Sabonis guy.
Same.
I've loved Sabonis since Gonzaga, and I do think he's the best player on the Kings. That's just me. But yeah,
not in the fourth quarter though.
No. De'Aaron Fox has been the fourth quarter man. Oh, yeah. But we've only seen this version of De'Aaron Fox with Sabonis.
That is very true. That is very true. I do want to say, how shocked. Two guys that, looking at this list, I'm shocked. Jason Tatum, I swear, for at least 1/3 of the season or up until January, he was the front runner, home run, MVP. If they stayed on course, we'd be talking Tatum MVP. What happened, in your opinion, with like, dude, Tatum's closer to 10 now than he is to 1, when it felt like till January, he was top 3 at least.
He was. For the first couple months, we would do like, who's your MVP through the first month or the second month? I think I was saying Tatum all day. But I think that hurts people when you get out early, because there's a thing, the recency bias thing, and not even like just recency bias, but what's in your mind. I don't remember what Tatum was doing in December versus now seeing what Joel Embiid is doing literally right now. I think that hurts, and I think the Celtics kind of slid back a little bit. They were dominating the NBA and were the clear-cut team, and they was doing everything, and he was locking up, he was making plays. That kind of scared back, and it went in a different direction for the other teams, where, you know, Joel Embiid kicked it up, Jokic doing his thing, and we saw when Jokic gets his players, the Nuggets are the best team, and then the Giannis thing, and then, you know, Luka. I'm surprised to see Harden at 4. That was interesting to me. I know.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. I know he's playing well, but like, I didn't think he was playing that well.
Yeah, that kind of got me by surprise. I think in a reality of this, Tatum isn't that low. I would probably still have him above Sabonis. I would probably have him above Harden. He would probably be 5th. And if I was taking these top 10 guys and making my own list,
run your top 5. Run your top 5 right now.
Give me Giannis 1.
Okay, I agree.
Give me Jokic 2, Embiid 3, then give me Luka. Or no, give me Tatum 4, because the way the Mavericks have been playing as of recently, losing 2 games back-to-back to the Hornets, I can't have Luka at 4 for that. Because
also, Luka looks sad.
He does, as he should, because he puts a lot of work in to get that team to be better. Give me Tatum 4, give me Luka 5, then give me Sabonis, Jimmy, Dame, Shea, then Dame. When it gets past 5, I could really care less, right?
Yeah. Just throw in Sabonis as an honorable mention.
You know, this just sounds good, but yeah, nobody really cares who's 6th in MVP vote.
Yeah, no one cares. No one's gonna remember. I mean, George tells us he came 3rd in MVP votes. As much as I love Paul George loves.
That's my favorite player. So
I love Paul George. I heard a quote from, it was either Law Murray of The Athletic or Seth Parnell of The Athletic. They said as they love Paul George, but Paul George the king of cringiest quotes. No, not the king of cringiest quotes. King of accidental cringiest quotes, while Karl-Anthony Towns is the king of cringiest quotes. They were saying.
I'm not mad at that. Yeah, PG had a little moment where he could do nothing right. I'll say. Yeah, that little moment there. It was tough being a PG fan. It's always accidental. It's accidental.
Yeah, cringe.
It is. But I'm staying loyal. That's still my guy. But yeah, PG, he does use the 3rd, and I won't lie, I use it too as a Paul George fan. Sometimes you got to slide it in there, let people know. This dude was a top guy in MVP conversations.
I mean, Blake could do the same thing.
Yeah, I actually had Blake maybe the second year we were doing a podcast. I had Blake and John Wall as my MVP dark horses. This is before John Wall had his injuries or whatnot.
No, I agree. I mean, Blake was insane. I was gonna say is, I literally just blanked on that thought. But what were we just saying before that? Before the Blake Griffin? Paul George. No, Paul George though, his moment wasn't as bad as when Karl-Anthony Towns, after he hit the 2 free throws, he goes, "This is what movies are made of." This is what movies are made of. In the locker room, all the way after he hit the 2 free throws to win the game, he was yelling, "This is what movies are made of."
Cat, I don't know what Cat be doing. The voice changes and I don't know, man. He's too good of a player to be doing that. He don't have to do that. We accept Cat however he speaks or whatever. he don't have to be that guy. I don't know.
For people also don't realize, as much as I love Karl-Anthony Towns as a Timberwolves fan, people don't realize that Karl-Anthony Towns is supposed to be on the Joel Embiid and
yes.
Like he's his first 2 seasons, and I also blame the fact that they ousted Kevin Garnett after going to his 3rd season for why this didn't happen. But it's supposed to be right now that the 3 best centers in the NBA, we should be arguing. Some people like Jokic because he's the offensive guy. People like, Joel because, he's probably would be the best defensively. And then you would have had Karl-Anthony Towns where he was going to be the guy who was the best 3-point shooter. He could pass, he could block shots. He was supposed to be this guy averaging 25, 15, 2 assists, 5 assists a night. And I don't think people realize that's why a lot of times Timberwolves and Cat fans are pissed off and he just didn't become that guy.
Yeah, that's the tough thing with me with Cat, because he's a good player and I like him. And he's been through so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The idea of Karl-Anthony Towns, and I've said this plenty of times on my podcast. We do a top 10 at each position every offseason. And one of the recent years I had Towns pretty low, 6th or 7th, and I got a lot of shit for it. But what I was telling people was I'm comparing Karl-Anthony Towns to what he should be. You know what I mean? I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns being better than Sabonis isn't a goal. That's crazy that we would have to have that conversation, because he is, like you said, he's supposed to legitimately be in a conversation with Embiid and Jokic. So now I'm sitting here saying, and I'm not saying now, this is back a little bit ago, but it's I'm in here having a conversation is it Vucevic or Karl-Anthony Towns? That's crazy. That's crazy that I used to have to say that, Vucevic or Karl-Anthony Towns, when, like you said, when Karl-Anthony Towns first came in, it was supposed to be where that's a no-brainer. But Karl-Anthony Towns has had years and moments where you don't even know if he's better than some of those guys. It's a conversation, and that's a little disappointing. And I remember when Karl-Anthony Towns, when they would do the GM surveys, and it's who was a guy that all the GMs would take with the first pick, and it was Karl-Anthony Towns. Yeah, tough.
And another guy that you could say the same thing is DeAndre Ayton, but then the argument is the Phoenix Suns scheme is limiting him, and that's why he wants to leave, because he's I know I can do more. So it seems like DeAndre Ayton at least that's why people are giving Aiden more value, is because they're like, at least he wants to leave and he's like saying like, I'm limited here, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for him though, because I just don't think anybody is running their offenses that way unless you're Jokic or Embiid. And
Yeah.
Aiden, it's tough because I understand why he wants to play the way he wants to play, but at the same time, he hasn't shown anybody that they should run the offense through him and that he should get the same type of treatment as an Embiid. You know what I mean? Because I don't think Aiden, I never looked at him to be as what I thought Karl-Anthony Towns could be.
I never thought he was going to be Karl-Anthony Towns, but I thought he was going to be kind of like, you know, Joel Light is how we were sold on him. You know?
I definitely thought he was going to be better. He's just like big, strong. It just looked easy for him at Arizona. But yeah, he kind of plays the same like he did at Arizona, where you just felt he could do more. I remember watching at Arizona and being like, man, he got 16 and 11. I feel like he can go get 22 and 14. And it's just like, he just doesn't do it.
Yeah. And this is a weird question. Who is the third best center in the NBA? Pure center.
Domantas Sabonis.
You're going Sabonis? Okay. That's what I was going to say, yeah. Because I can't think of anybody else besides Sabonis as the option, because everywhere there, everyone has their pros and cons when you start going into that whole argument.
Yeah, I like Sabonis. I mean, I could see people maybe liking Jared Allen. Jared Allen just doesn't do anything wrong. I know he isn't dominant, but he just doesn't do anything wrong. I like Sabonis though. Sabonis is.
But then you have Jonas Valanciunas. If you're trying to tell me Jared Allen.
Valanciunas has a tough time staying on the floor for the Pelicans, and I'm a big Valanciunas guy, but
that's true.
He barely can play for them some nights. I'll look at the box score because I love Valanciunas, and he played 19 minutes or 22 minutes, and it's like, man, when he was playing 30 minutes a game though, the first year for the Pelicans or the last year for the Grizzlies,
added a 3-point shot.
He was the most underrated center in the NBA, in my opinion, at those moments. But the last season and a half or two, it hasn't been the same.
Yeah, I guess this season, not so, because that's another thing is like when you think of like top players, you got to always like think of like the recency, because like my whole thing is I start thinking of like what they've done, and you're like, you can't think of what they've done, you got to think of what they're doing, you know?
Yeah, just in certain conversations, if we're talking about right now, then I got to take in consideration what I've been seeing lately.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely have respect and love for Valanciunas. I definitely think he should be a guy who has some respect on his name, because he has some stretches and some moments where he is super dominant, almost kind of like Sabonis, where they're kind of physical. They're not afraid to back you down and be a bruiser. But then Valanciunas, like you said, he had that stretch where he was making that 3-point shot, and that's a whole different conversation when he's knocking that down. But yeah, give me Sabonis as my third center.
Yeah, no, that was good. I completely agree. So over here, I don't like. This is gonna be one of the last things we talk about. I don't mean to keep you here for a freaking hour.
You're good.
Sorry, but it's been a pleasure talking to you, Pierre. But what I was gonna say is, I hate choosing NBA final contenders, just the two teams, because I'm like that's too much. I like doing conference finals because I like that gives you 4 teams. Okay, yeah. Because that's more realistic, because there's usually 4 teams that could. Because at the end of the day, it's all about opportunity and circumstance, which is gonna lead to the one team advancing in each conference. So if you had to choose 2 teams out of each conference, who would you choose? I know one of them is already going to be the Milwaukee Bucks for the Eastern Conference, I'm assuming. So what are your other 3 teams? Because I'm on the same page. It's Milwaukee Bucks for me as well.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh my memory and you pull these standings up, because sometimes I can be forgetful, especially right now. I'm a little under the weather.
No, you're good. I got you right here too.
We got, okay, perfect. So yeah, give me the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this next team is going to be tough, because obviously you look at the Celtics as that they could be a favorite, right below the Bucks or whatever. You look at the 76ers, Joel Embiid. I'm really scared with the Sixers because of the whole Achilles thing with James Harden.
How bad is that? You got any sources saying that it's that bad?
I have no idea how bad it is, but the fact that we even have to talk about it scares me, because a playoff run, you don't want to. You want to be dealing with a sore ankle, not an Achilles.
Yeah, the Achilles is the one thing. Like, you don't mess with. Like I had a couple times where I'm playing basketball and I felt like slight tweaking at my Achilles, done. Taking off the shoes, stretching, done.
I had that for the first time like a year ago.
Yes, like a year and a half ago for me too.
And I kept reaching at it, and the older dude was like, "Hey man, you might as well go sit.
Yeah.
Sit. You don't." And I'm like, "You're right."
I took like a week and a half off, 2 weeks.
Me too. I didn't do anything. I'm like, it's scary. This is I
boom. Until my Achilles felt straight where I had no soreness. I was like, because I've heard stories that they say it just goes off like a gun.
Yeah.
And I was like,
the difference between me and you, we don't get paid $35 million a year. So like, regardless, it's a scary injury, but also on the top of it, I'm not a multimillionaire who gets paid to deal with this injury. I definitely don't want it. And another thing is Joel Embiid. What is his availability going to be in the playoffs? Because I've said this a bunch of times on our podcast, but the only playoff run that he didn't miss a game for was the bubble when they got swept against the Celtics. Every other playoff year, Joel Embiid has missed some type of time. Every 1 game, 2 games, he's missed times in every playoff appearance he's made, other than that one bubble year where they didn't have Ben Simmons. So I'm watching for that. I like the Cavs as a sneaky team, man. I like the Cavs as a sneaky team. I like Jared Allen. I like Evan Mobley. I'm a fan of the traditional front courts with the size. I like having a guy like Donovan Mitchell who's playoff proven and has shown that he can win a game by himself on the offensive side of the basketball if need be. But I also like the missing piece, which is Darius Garland. Darius Garland is one of the most consistent point guards we have in the game, and he also can win you a game. So I like the Cavs. I'm going to go with the Celtics, though. I'm going to go with the Celtics. Celtics versus Bucks in the Eastern Conference. I wish.
Give me 1 second. I think someone like knocked on my door, so my dog just tweaked. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
She's over here. I got a little pit bull, and she's over here trying to be like a protector. Chill, girl. But you're saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bucks and the Celtics. I just think that the Celtics, they have a lot, man. Hopefully they can get healthy at the right time, because I like this lineup with Robert Williams is available and playing. I think Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White, having them, they just have too much. They have too much. As much as I would like to see a Cavs, as much as I would like to see my Knicks, give me the Boston Celtics. Bucks versus Celtics.
No, so I'm a similar Bucks versus Celtics is like, for me, I've said is the safest option. Turns out it was maintenance who showed up, but they just dipped. So she's over here trying to act like someone just intruded into her castle. But no, for me, I'd have to say, hey girl, hey, stop it. She's good now. So no, what I was gonna say, sorry for the whole thing. She's here right now.
No, you're good.
Look at this girl, just being crazy.
At least you know she's a rider. She's riding for you.
Yeah, she's riding here. Yeah, no, she's my ride or die. I rescued her like 5 years ago. She's like my little girl. But either way, this will probably be the last thing we talk about, just because she probably also wants to go on a walk now. But I have Boston Celtics versus Bucks, but I think the dark horse team, you said Cavs, the Heat. If Jimmy Butler, okay, they just need Kevin Love to make his shot like 20 games. They just need Kevin Love to be able to hit his shot for like 20 games, all right? And then you get yourself the rest of that team. Kyle Lowry, just turn back the clock 3 years for 20 games, all right? That team, Jimmy Butler says he doesn't really start playing basketball till after the All-Star break.
That's facts. I definitely can't count out the Heat. I just hate that they're out. They have to waste time in the play-in, and based off everything we've seen, can I trust Kyle? Can I trust Kevin Love for 20 games? I'm a believer in Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler Hero, but I think you're going to need a lot more. The East is a dog fight, man. The East is tough as nails this year, and you may need everything you can get. And Kyle Lowry and Kevin Love, I don't think I can believe in that duo enough to give the Heat what they need, but I definitely can't count the Heat out. And I love Jimmy Butler and the way he plays. So if they can make a run, I would love it. Sign me up for it.
I think I'll believe it more if somehow, which is possible, they're half game behind the Nets. If they can make it into the 6th seed, All right. And that would if they were the 6 seed, they're playing like the Sixers. And if they upset the Sixers, then I'm just going, they're going to the Eastern Conference.
If they upset the Sixers, man, I'll be a Heat fan. I live for that type of stuff. We don't get that enough in basketball. You know, that's only like college basketball when we get upsets or whatnot. But if they can go in and have the year that they've had and beat the 76ers in a 7-game series, oh yeah, I'm pro Heat all day.
And let's move over. This is the tougher one. Who are you choosing in the Western Conference?
It's super tough because I like the Clippers. But they would have to face off with the Suns potentially. We have, like we said, we have a few games left, about 6 games left, so they can easily become the 4th seed, and the Suns could maybe drop. But with Kevin Durant on the horizon, I don't know if that'll happen. So give me Phoenix, which then eliminates my Clippers because I love Paul George. Give me Phoenix and Denver. Phoenix and Denver Western Conference Finals.
All right. So for me, I've been on the Denver train all year. All right. I've said it. Michael Porter Jr. also, people don't realize, playing phenomenal, getting back up to 20 points a game, doing little things. I mean, he can't play defense. Never. I don't know if that's just because of his back. They literally, I've watched fourth quarters where they'll literally sub him out for Bruce Brown or Ish Smith. And then when they get the ball back for offense, they'll sub Michael Porter Jr. And then when the ball gets dead ball and they're on defense, they'll sub him out. I'm like, are you guys literally just subbing him in and out for offense and defense?
Yeah. He's as talented as he is, he's just not designed to play defense. He laterally is not there. Like you said, he already had the back. Before the back, though, it's just tough for him to play defense.
So, yeah, for me, I think the hard thing is to choose. Like, I really want to do the Sacramento Kings, but the same thing with the Kings and the Grizzlies. It's just the experience. I'm like, at least the Nuggets have had a Western Conference Finals run, though it was a bubble run, but like that was a healthy team. Last time they had a healthy team, they made it to the Western Conference Finals. And I can't buy the Grizzlies or the Kings. And if the Suns are healthy, they're there. And then there's also the whole thing, the Warriors. You can't call out the Warriors because ladies.
I'm not with it this year.
I'm not with it either. I ain't with it. But like, you can't do it to them because then they're gonna come back and they're like, y'all counted us out again.
But I'm counting them out. I didn't count them out last year, but I'm counting them out this year. Just I don't get that same Warriors vibe, man. I don't.
I think if I had to choose, like you said, it's going to be Nuggets, Suns, as long as Kevin Durant's healthy. And if KD's not healthy, maybe the Kings have a Western Conference Finals appearance. I mean, Jason Kidd did it in his first season with the Mavs.
True. That's very true. I'm pushing for the Clippers, man. I hope they can get it. I believe the Suns will do it, but if not the Suns, then I hope Kawhi and PG can make something happen.
What's your surprise team if you had to choose?
Out of the West, probably Sacramento for sure. Sacramento seems like a fun team we all kind of believe in, and but now it's playoff time and it's experience. I would love for them to come out and be like, experience is overrated. We're playing basketball and we're better than these teams, and we're going to win like we did in the regular season. That would be dope to me. I
think the Timberwolves, if this run, like this last 4-game stretch has been craziest looking Timberwolves, and if they make it to the 6th seed and like they knock out the Kings in the first round, especially Anthony Edwards is like going insane, and they got Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns like cooking with each other because slow-mo with Jaden McDaniels. All right, Naz Reid. Someone pay Naz Reid first off. Give that man a bag.
He won't be back.
Oh, he won't be back. I don't think he wants to either. But yeah, that Timberwolves team, if everything comes together, because I'm also a big believer of Chris Finch. Like, I read Nick Nurse's autobiography, and the reason why Nick Nurse hired Chris Finch to an assistant coach job when he became the Raptors coach, which led to Chris Finch becoming Timberwolves coach, was Chris Finch coached in England, coached in I believe Australia or New Zealand, Germany, all over the world. And he said in every league he coached, guess who's the rival coach for the opposing best team in every? Chris Finch. So Nick Nurse said he'd be in the NBL. Who would be the other coach in the championship game? Chris Finch.
Oh, okay.
Guess when he was coaching in England, guess who when he was in the championship? Who was the coach of the other team?
Chris Finch.
So
Okay.
when Dwayne Casey got fired and they hired Nick Nurse, his first call was he called up Chris Finch and he was
Chris
like,
Finch.
I got a spot for you on my
I
bench.
respect that. I like that.
Yeah, he said that
That's
we were
dope.
never really friends. He said, but every time I made it to a championship game or had a big game, the other coach on the sideline was Chris Finch.
That's dope.
But yeah, I always thought that was a little niche thing.
Yeah, that's dope.
Pierre, this was awesome. I didn't mean to take up an hour of your day. Sorry about my dog at the last few minutes.
You're
Gonna have
good,
to edit
man.
that
You're
out.
good. I appreciate you having me. Keep doing your thing, man. Been a pleasure, Ciro. Definitely interested to see how you continue to grow on your YouTube and the next chapters for you. Especially saying that you want to do the books and stuff. I would definitely, as you can see, I'm an avid reader. I would definitely read one of your books, man. So keep going on. I hate that you got the Kansas stuff in the background. I hate Kansas with a passion. I hate Rock Chalk just because Mario Chalmers' game-winning shot against Derrick Rose in Memphis, game-tying shot in college all those years ago. I still hold a grudge to Kansas. So
yeah, about to graduate. About to go to the U in August.
yeah,
for
you.
So right. So don't have to hold
I
that
love
against me.
you. I love you. I love the you. That's what's up.
All right, buddy. Thank you again. I hope you have a great day, and I hope our paths cross, and so we can meet each other in person.
Sure
Maybe play some 1v1.
I'm sure they will, man. Appreciate you, bro. Take care.
Appreciate it. Take care. Be safe. God bless, man.
You too.
Thanks, dog.